Hi everyone, this is my rhetorical analysis and social work discourse. My name is Charles Pigg. The class I am in is Writing 3012-090, taught by Professor Brown in the spring of 2024. Let's begin with the abstract. For a person to fully grasp the rhetorical strategies employed in discourse regarding the field of social work, there needs to be a general understanding of what social work is and how it relates to every person alive today. According to the International Federation of Social Workers, social work is a practice-based profession that promotes social change and empowerment of individuals, along with principles of social justice, human rights, and collective responsibility. Social work engages people and structures to address life changes and enhance well-being. Addressing life changes and the enhancement of well-being both are categories that each of us will face throughout the course of our lives. That is what makes social work so relevant now and for the future. The key words for this analysis are social work, social change, inequities, ethics, science of social work, grand challenges for social work. And the acknowledgments go out to the following. Thanks go out to my two classmates, Kate H. and Cameron W., for their wonderful insights and suggestions. Also to my Writing 3012-090 teacher, Professor Brown. For this rhetorical analysis, 3 academic papers were selected, with all 3 belonging to the subdiscipline of social work. These papers all share multiple similarities in their styles and purpose. Rather, all 3 do promote the common welfare of people and fall within the scope of the discipline of social work. 3 papers which will be analyzed are Exacerbation of Inequities During COVID-19, Ethical Implications for Social Workers, Social Network Analysis as a Toolkit for the Science of Social Work, and Grand Challenges for Social Work, Research, Practice, and Education. This rhetorical analysis will discuss, between all 3 papers, structures which are routinely used in social work disciplinary writing. They are organization, purpose, syntax, knowledge base, and rhetorical language, finishing with the concluding statement and references. The 3 papers selected for this analysis were published in 3 separate journals. Although they do have many similarities, there are some minor differences in organization, syntax, and rhetorical language. First, Weinberg's paper in Canadian Social Work Review, along with Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell's paper in the Journal of Society and Social Work Research, both contain an abstract, immediately followed by a keyword section. Williams' article in Social Work Research does not show these properties. Scholarship in social work discourse is mostly based around scientific data and verifiable research, which lends itself to the development of logos. Williams' 2016 article and Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell's 2015 paper both follow this pattern. Weinberg's paper shows flashes of being written under a scientific premise, but its language and syntax lends it more to being persuasive literature. All 3 papers were written to appeal to a distinctive audience. The field of social work varies greatly, and each paper analyzed appeals to a separate members of the specific genre. Weinberg's paper makes the argument that during COVID-19, there were a lot of difficulties in getting social work services to 2 specific groups, the elderly and the indigenous. Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell's paper argues that with the implementation of detailed social work analysis, we can show how mechanisms for social change can be modeled and how understanding these models, we can find guidance for future social work practice. Williams' article finds its argument in stating that with the AASWSW's adoption of these 12 grand challenges, that with collaboration between social work fields, these challenges could be solved. Likewise, these papers all have a purpose mostly geared towards members of their discourse about how complex the social work field is and how constant adaptations are necessary for a suitable outcome. One good example of this is in Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell's paper, with its jargon, charts, and graphs lending to the purpose of persuading the reader to use complex social network analysis in the science aspect of the social work field. Likewise, all three have arguments including aspects of logos, ethos, and pathos. Scholarly papers in the social work field usually rely heavily on logos and ethos to back the arguments, and these papers follow suit. The one exception is Weinberg's paper, which is equally heavy on logos and pathos for its persuasion. The paper written by Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell and the article by Williams are all written in a scholarly manner, with the sentence structures being complex and the vocabulary being rather distinct to the social work arena. For example, an excerpt from Rice and Yoshioka's paper states, exponential random graph models are a set of statistical models used with sociometric network data to assess the factors associated with the presence or absence of a particular tie and whether that tie cannot be attributed to chance alone. The paper by Weinberg does contain some scholarly wording, but is written in a style meant to be understood by the layman as well as the social work professional. Both papers and the article have slightly different tones when viewed as a combination of syntax and language. Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell's paper has very specific wording and complex sentence structures common to scholarly papers in social work. It also incorporates graphs, which gives it the tone of a paper geared toward a specific reader base. Williams' article is straightforward with wording and the syntax is simple. It contains lots of references, which lends its credence or ethos. It reads as more of a scholarly announcement of social work set upon goals to be guided toward for the near future. Finally, Weinberg's paper is written in a simple sentence structure with italics that denote the more important ideas. This paper can be understood by the public. For full understanding the paper written by Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell, one needs to have some experience with vocabulary related to the topic of social work. It requires a detailed understanding of terms which are unique to the field of social work or to the medical field in general. Although it would be helpful, the paper by Weinberg, along with the article by Williams, do not require any prior knowledge of social work. It appears that the author set forth to write in such a way that someone without a social work background could understand. Plainly stated, understanding of the latter two could be achieved through common sense and context alone. Rhetorical language is a key driving factor between success in developing pathos and further development of ethos and logos. Whether an author is speaking to one's sense of right or wrong or playing on any emotion, it can be successful at establishing pathos. This pathos, in turn, can become a jumping off point in which the author can then cement the claim or claims made by the developing ethos, the authority, and the logos logic. For example, Weinberg provides an abstract of which the second half is devoted to pathos. This paper explores one theme from the Canadian data, namely the ethical implications for social workers arising from the greater risks, hardships, and inequities for the most marginalized in our society. Two populations of service users will be utilized as examples of the ethical dimensions of the problem, the elderly and those who are indigenous. Leading with the statement, establishing a form of pathos can intrigue the reader to continue and hopefully support the claims being made. Although the papers in the article analyzed present pathos at some point, the addition of an acknowledgement or author's notes gives a sense of authority or ethos. Ethos helps the reader to not become overly skeptical about the literature because they recognize the authority of the author. For example, Rice and Yoshioka Maxwell provide an author's notes section near the end of the paper, clarifying one as an associate professor in the School of Social Work and the other as a doctoral student in the same discipline. This recognition, along with the graphs and intricate language throughout, gives this paper strong ethos. Lastly, logos is presented in a way to appeal to the reader's sense of logic and sometimes common sense. It is not a standalone, for logic needs to be intertwined with the other two aspects for a piece of persuasive literature to be truly successful. For example, Williams' article is heavy with quotes from the American Academy of Social Work and Social Welfare. These references do two things. They lead to ethos and they add to the logos. All the while, Williams' main driving point behind this article is to inform the reader of a set of standards adopted to better the welfare of all people. While this analysis only begins to scratch the surface of the rhetorical techniques used, an in-depth look at all three papers will show many layers of rhetoric used by experienced and skilled authors to further their motivations behind the scholastic literatures, and each paper approached their ends in different fashions, but subsequently toward the same goal, the betterment of people's lives. The field of social work isn't a one-size-fits-all, and it still has some way to go. It, it has its roots in caring for people. This is a direct call to the practitioner's pathos, which makes social work a challenging and rewarding field of study. The final slide is my references used for this analysis. Thank you.